when I see you, you're gonna be just like His holy. He's so mighty, yes, He is.
Hi, I'm Lana Hardin, singer, author, speaker, and host of Flawless Women. Thank you for joining me for this week's show. It's created to offer hope and inspiration to hurting, broken women who need a safe space to heal, let down their hair, and get real. So sit back, get ready to embrace your flaws, be healed, become flawless from the inside out, and reflect the heart of God. Let's jump right in. Let's get flawless. Our guest today is Ms. Mikkel Coleman. She is a CEO, a mother, a grandmother, but most of all, she is bougie. Ha! So let's go ahead and welcome Ms. Mikkel Coleman to the show so we can go ahead and talk more about that. Welcome to the show, Ms. Mikkel. How you doing? How you doing out there? You feeling okay
I'm
tonight?
good.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Making it through this year. The
Yeah.
rest of this year anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We only have what one more day to the year is over. When this show airs, it will officially be 2021. So let me ask,
Okay.
yeah, let me ask about this. So you have plans for this year? I know one of your favorite quotes is if you fail to plan, if you
Plan to fail.
do plan to fail. Okay, so do you have any plans for the upcoming year, 2021?
I do, and I kind of want to. I'm basically going to relaunch some things and re-innovate my brand, and just kind of. I'm gonna keep it under wraps for now, but yeah, I have some plans, some things in motion right now. So some things to come.
Yeah, yeah,
So concerning, yeah,
that's exciting. I
and a
think,
lot of traveling, a lot of traveling.
yeah, I think that, since this will be our first show of 2021, and I know a lot of people go into 2021 on fire with lots of plans. And so, what would be your word of advice as we start the year and as we begin to focus for the upcoming year? Do you have any words of advice that you want to share to maybe business owners or visionaries or those who are embarking upon something new?
Yes, don't make any New Year's resolutions. You should already have some form of plan. So in 2021, it's time to put the plan into action. It's time to put the plan into motion so that you can see the manifestation of your plans. So, like I said, a lot of business owners, a lot of CEOs, they already have plans. It's just time to put those plans in motion and go full speed ahead because 2021 is going to be a different year than 2020. It's
Absolutely.
going to be a year of manifestation. So
I
definitely put those
love
plans into
that.
motion.
I love that full speed ahead. I love that. I think
Yeah,
that we can capitalize on that, and that's the perfect way to start is full speed ahead.
definitely.
So let's go ahead and just quickly talk about bougie. I said you were bougie when I was giving you an introduction. Bougie, bougie. And so, for
Uh,
those who don't know, Ms. Mikhail Coleman, she is actually the owner of the Bougie Bar and the Bougie brand. And when some people talk about bougie and they actually associate bougie with a certain way of being. So why don't we just talk about, first of all, let's talk about how people normally think about bougie and when someone calls someone bougie, what they mean. Go ahead and shed light on that. And then we're going to talk about what bougie actually is.
well, I hate to say it, but I would. It's the urban definition, um, and people think that you because you like nice things or you look a certain way or you don't like certain things that you're bougie. A lot of times they think that you think you're better than everyone else, or they think that you have to have certain things in order to be a certain way, or so basically people think you're all that. They just think you're just stuck up, think you're all that, and some people are intimidated and some people are not.
Yeah. So let's talk about what Bougie really is, because your whole brand, you have the Bougie Bar, which is a nail salon. For those that don't know it, it's also a boutique. And it is multi-generational, which is amazing as well. So two generations in the Bougie Bar, helping to run and do that. So talk to us about Bougie Bar, because I know that your whole brand is on this idea of being bougie and putting bouginess in its proper light. So go ahead and talk to us about that.
Okay, first I'll start. I can't even speak today. I'll start by letting everyone know what bougie really means. Bougie is just a small medical tool. I don't know how everyone came up with the other term, the other definition, not sure. But for me, bougie means I turned it into an acronym because for me, it means beautiful, outstanding, unique, great, um, intelligent, and exceptional. To me, that's what bougie means. And anyone can be bougie, it could be male or female. Um, so that's how Bougie Bar started. I am a licensed manicure. So originally I started out, I opened up a nail bar. A nail bar. And then my daughter, during the COVID, everyone started branching out into owning their own business. So she started selling clothes. And she started out in just a little room in the nail salon. So um, did a little bit of renovation and made it more into a boutique. And so you can get your nails done, you can get styled. It's the nails, accessories, women's clothing. We have all the way up to plus size. And I like to say the voluptuous woman sizes. So yeah, definitely come check us out. We're in Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're at 1381 South Drake Road, Suite G. So just definitely give us a call. You can email us at bougiebrand1973 at gmail.com. And we just look forward to seeing you guys and hearing from you guys and supporting. Supporting is the main thing. We're Black owned. We still have a lot to learn. When I decided to start my business, I was definitely ignorant to the fact I had no experience other than being a licensed manicurist. But as far as running a business, I had no experience. So definitely support and love us through our mistakes, love us through our shortcomings, because we'll extend the same. We'll do the same. We love to support regardless of who you are. You don't have to be Black, but we love to support.
I
So
definitely
support us.
will share that information as we're actually moving on throughout the show. And when we're posting the show, we'll actually put that information for those who didn't get it. But I do think that it's important to stop here and pause, because when you're talking about bougie, like you said, there's a certain connotation that comes with that. But what I love, I've known Ms. McHale for quite a while. So what I've loved about our relationship, our ability to talk, is um, really the down to earthness, to be honest, the ability to just be down to earth. And I know that you have helped me with my dog since I'm a new puppy owner. Uh, so, bougie is what some people put a facade, sometimes people put on, but I think that when you're able to talk to multiple people and talk across, I always say multiple languages, that's when people are really drawn to you, and that's when you can have impact. So I know that in this role as a nail consultant and as a business owner, many women come to you and confide in you, right? And I think that it's kind of like something that happens without you even trying to do that. So let's talk more about that, because I find, you talked about your daughter, which is from a different generation. And I know that every time I've been in your presence, there's been a lot of just different young women gravitating to you, and you've taken on more of kind of a mama role, if I can say that, to multiple people. So talk to us about that, and just your love for young women, and even your relationship with some of the young women in the community.
All right. Yeah, I do. I have a lot of people coming to me. Just a lot of times, when you go get your nails done or you go shopping, that's people like to consider. I know for me, that's my me time. So, when people sit down in my chair, they get comfortable, and people can sense your spirit, and people, it's the way you treat people, it's the way you talk to people. And a lot of people I know, so they know me, and they feel comfortable with confiding in me or just asking for advice. And, sometimes you have to lead by example. It's not always easy. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a role model, not by choice, but you have to carry yourself a certain way when you have a business, when you run a business, and people pick up on that. And I had to learn because, for me, sometimes it's not always a good day. You don't always want to entertain people, but when you're dealing in customer service, which I do, you have to put on a smile every day even when you don't feel like it. And when young women come with advice, or sometimes they just talk, sometimes people just want you to listen with no advice. And a lot of times they feel comfortable with being able to talk to someone with no judgment. And someone that they feel, like you said, is down to earth. That's just not going to judge them. I am a woman of a particular age, and a lot of the young
You're
women,
laughing,
they
but it's
still
like
can relate to me.
you're laughing, but it's like we're almost the same age. So
We're getting up there.
wait a minute, but we still holding on though. We're still holding on
That's what
though.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
All right, go ahead. I think it's important because really this show was created for young women, right? I mean, I know as a woman, I'm sure you can relate. There were things that we went through that we wish somebody would have told us in advance, which, some women did try to tell us, but it's some things that no one talked to us about that we had to kind of just learn on our own, right? And so let's talk more about that. Like young women, what do you hear? What do you think they're searching for? And what do you think that it really actually relates to this journey called being flawless?
I think from the women that I speak to, even myself, a lot of women are fatherless. And I'm glad you asked that because I did want to touch on that. A lot of women are fatherless. And so when you are fatherless, you look for validation in all the wrong places. You look for validation from a man. You look for validation from your looks, your physique. It's a lot of things that as your father, as a man, growing up, a man teaches you. Like I always tell good friends of mine that are men, take your daughter out on dates, buy your daughter things so that when another man, because men normally approach women the wrong way as far as with their money, with their pockets, when they see a woman that's vulnerable, and men can sense when a woman is fatherless, and didn't have that father that was there supportive, because you can have a father in the same house, a father that's there, and it doesn't matter. He's not emotionally attached. He's just in the household. But those fathers out there that are loving and kind and love their daughters and teach their daughters and not just buy them things, but are there for them to have those talks. A lot of times, you hear women say, I can't, especially for the boys, I can't teach him what you can, but it's the same for the girls. Women need their fathers for advice, to talk to guide them in directions that mothers just can't do. So I think a lot of the issues with the younger generation and even growing up into women is just been fatherless. And that's something I've learned in my age right today. Like I said, I'm a woman of a particular age, but I've realized like a lot of the issues and downfalls, insecurities that I've experienced was because I've been fatherless, as far as my physical father. But I realized, and God has been showing me, like, I'm your father. I'm Abba. I'm here. I love you throughout all your mistakes. I knew you before you were in your mother's womb. I loved you then, and I love you now. So a lot of women don't know that. A lot of women don't have a relationship with God. A lot of women don't have that someone to explain to them that you're beautiful regardless, and you don't need that validation from a man.
So
you don't need someone. You don't need someone else to tell you you're beautiful.
So let's talk about your relationship with God. Let's talk about, because for the woman that doesn't know God, so what was your journey like? Did you grow up in the church? Did you, how did you come closer to God and to begin to discover Him as Father?
I did grow up in the church, but my whole family is Baptist. Shout out to Mount Zion Baptist Church, Kalamazoo, Michigan. But my whole family is Baptist. My grandmother church going, God fearing woman, love her to pieces without her prayers. I'm telling you, God only knows. But I was introduced to God when I was married. My ex-husband introduced me to a church, and at that church is where I was educated and I learned more about God. I was baptized and I was filled with the Holy Spirit. And when I walked in those doors, I was totally ignorant to the fact. And over a period of time, over the years, God raised me up. He raised me up. I mean, he was there every step of the way. Like in times when I didn't know, he was there. And you just develop, people say, how do you love someone you can't see? How do you love someone, but you can feel him? You know his presence. You know he's there. How do you love somebody so much that you can't hear? Oh, you can hear him if you listen with your heart, if you listen with your spirit. God is a spirit. Worship him in spirit and truth. So God is a spirit. And just over the years, like I said, he raised me up and I felt him. And I heard him in my spirit. I heard him in my heart speak to me. So, and it took some time, like I said, over the years, and I keep saying this, I'm a woman of a particular age. I'm a grandmother of 5. I'm a mother of 2. My oldest is 29. I'll say that. So over the years, I was married at the age of 20. So that gives you a little background of how long I've had a relationship with God. So it took some time for me to understand that it was God. So
Yeah, and that's why I think it's important to kind of just pause and talk to those women out there that actually don't know God, because I honestly, like you, right? I also have a heart for young women, and want to see this next generation not have to go through. And so sometimes I think it's important that we do talk about our own stories, right? Because people do see the flawlessness or what they perceive as flawlessness, but they don't see what's behind that. And so that's why I really wanted to talk about it. And even, you talked about being fatherless. So uh let's talk about that. Let's talk about fatherlessness and what that looks like, because I think you shared it, and I can also attest to the fact that a lot of times when you grow up without a father, you don't necessarily think it impacts you. You don't feel its impact, and you definitely don't wear something on your sleeve that says I'm fatherless, right? But let's talk about some of the ways that it actually can impact your decision making, and the type of people that you're even surrounding yourself with.
well, like you said, I'll speak from experience. I'll speak from my experience just with men, just not having that. And I had a stepfather that my mom was married to for 20 something years. He was a great man, but a lot of times, again, like I said, men are in a household, and a lot of men don't know how to be fathers. But he was there, so he wasn't someone that I would have the talks with or that would teach me. So with my experience of being fatherless, I believe, and looking back over the years and over my life, I believe that it affected me as far as the type of men that I chose, as far as relationships. It affected me as far as actually having a callous heart, just being hard toward men, and also to a woman that looked for validation from a man. People look at me and, oh, you're beautiful, you have this, you have that. But a lot of times the most beautiful woman is the most insecure woman. And because it's not about how you look, it's not about what you have, it's about how you feel. So a lot of women feel empty and they feel inadequate because they were fatherless. They didn't have that male there. They didn't have their father there. And a lot of women, it's a feeling of rejection, actually. It's a feeling of rejection when you know who your father is and to know that he wasn't there. And even still, he doesn't put forth that effort to reach out, or when you put forth that effort, he doesn't, extend that olive branch. So, it can become a feeling of rejection. And then if you don't know who your father is, whether you're adopted, whether he died, whether you're younger, whatever the reason was why you don't know him, it can be a voided situation. You can feel a sense of you can have a void to where, now you need some answers. You want some answers. You want to know who you are. You have a sense of an identity crisis because you don't know who you are. You don't know where you come from. Yeah, you know your mother. Yeah, you know your mother's side, but who's your father's side? Who's your dad? Who do you look like? What do you get some of your ways from? And that's what I've been learning about myself over the past years.
Well, I think you said something there that I want to pause on, because you said, first of all, earlier about, the most beautiful woman can be the most insecure woman, and the most beautiful woman is not in the things that you have, and it's not in all of these external things, right? But that's really where a lot of people look for that validation and that affirmation. So
Yes.
how does that process look? Like you said, you were introduced to God through your husband, but even with that, you still had to get to know him for yourself, right? You still had to have personal relationship with him alone. So what would you say to, and I know I keep asking this question, but it's because I feel like when you're that woman that's on the inside looking out, everything seems like it's a task and a chore. Everything seems impossible. Or maybe you don't even want to stop to do the work that's required, because it is work to be self reflective, right? So I really want to talk to that person that may be holding on to material things or covering up, what's really going on inside, or not taking that time to be self-reflective. Do you have any like suggestions, or like even just one step they can make to help them kind of begin that journey?
Yes, because I can attest to that as well. Been there, done that. You have to take off the mask. You just have to take it off. You have to take it off. You have to take off that mask. And like you said, the mask of using the material things or your looks to cover up what's really on the inside, that mask has to come off, period. You have to there has to be some acceptance. You have to accept what you see about yourself and know about yourself. And then you have to accept what God shows you about yourself. Because to me, to be flawless is to be seen in the image of God, because God is flawless. So you have to learn how to see yourself in his eyes, regardless of how you look. In God's eyes, you're flawless. That's just, but that the mask has to come off. And I can attest to that, because you start to live up to a certain image of what people expect you to be, or who people think you are, because that's what you're used to, because that's how people perceive you, because you don't know who you are yourself. So when you don't know who you are, then you pretend to be who everybody else think you are.
Mhm. And
So that mask has to come off.
I was thinking about a conversation that we had off camera, but I think it's relevant now, because we were talking about how, when God shows you who you are, like when you're masking that, but then God shows you who you are. And he doesn't always just show you the good part of who you are. Sometimes he'll show you the ugly, the down dirty that you don't see. But it's in
The
those
naked
moments.
truth.
Yeah, but it's in those moments where you really are transformed into his image, because then you can see yourself next to him. And then when you see yourself, you're like, man, I see you and I want to
Yes.
be more like you. So I think that, for every woman out there right now that is hurting, that doesn't want to deal with that pain, right? That doesn't want to deal with that fatherlessness or that void that's there. you know um let's just offer some hope. Let's offer let's do the before Mikkel, the now Mikkel, and the Mikkel that's to come. Let's put it in that light. Like, before the God showed you that light, the now process of what you're becoming and evolving and changing into, and the Mikkel that's to come. The
And
Ms.
you
the Ms. Mikkel.
you
Excuse
you
me.
said the key word, process. It's a process. And like I said, I was young when when I was introduced to God. So I was young, and I was ignorant to the fact in a lot of different areas of life, period. Just life, period. Even being married, I didn't know anything about being a wife at that time. I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know a lot. So throughout the years, when I say God raised me up, he literally raised, when I say my father, he was my father. He raised me up as my father, Abba, and he raised me up, and he taught me, and I didn't know. I didn't know some of the things he was teaching me. I didn't know some of the things he was bringing me out of. But as you get older, like I said, it's a process. And throughout the process, you'll start to recognize, and you'll start to see things. And you'll start to see things that you don't like. And like you said, Lana, God will show you things about yourself that you don't like. But you have to be able to accept it. You have to be able to acknowledge it. And you have to be willing to change it. You have to, like I said, you have to be willing to come from behind the mask. You have to be vulnerable. I used to be so hard. I did. I used to have that nonchalant, that non-caring attitude, just whatever, didn't care, just so stubborn. But God brought me to a place where I had to be vulnerable. And I always had people, at a distance. I only let you in so far, because I had trust issues. I didn't trust anyone. But throughout the process, God took me to a place of vulnerability, and I had to be vulnerable. And it was a scary thing. And that's another thing that keeps us from being who we are. Fear grips you, but he doesn't give us a spirit of fear, love, power, and a sound mind. And that's something I had to learn as well. I had to start to renew my mind and change my way of thinking. Ladies, you have to change your way of thinking. You have to. You cannot expect change doing the same thing. Period. As y'all would say today, period. You can't do the same thing.
But I like
expecting different.
I like what you said earlier, and we kind of went past it, but I just want to stop. You said, first of all, you have to accept it. You have to accept it. And then you have to acknowledge it. And then you have to change.
And then you have to change.
And that
you
was
have to be willing to change.
That was a 3-step process. And I think that's what I was looking for, is like, what are some concrete steps that someone can take? And I think that no matter what is going on in your life, when you see, and when God allows you to see and he shows you something, you have to accept it. Number one.
And it doesn't feel good. It's not a good feeling always. It's not a good thing. But when you experience deliverance, when you come out of bondage.
But I don't think, but I think that's the other side of it. I think that it's that whole, because the deliverance is the change part. But in order to get that, because it's that whole thing of truth, And
you just said it.
And I'm parking here for a reason, because we live in a society that says that you have to be flawless. You have to be impeccable. You have to be that boss. You have to be that chick, that this.
Yeah.
And the truth is, most of the times we're not that. We can want to be.
We're not.
We can want to become that, but we have to acknowledge what you said, accept where we are, acknowledge who we are, and then change into who we want to become. And so I just wanted to stop and park there, because I think it's important for that person who's listening, that sees a Mikkel, that sees a beautiful person, that sees that person who's on top. But it's a process. It's a process, right?
It didn't happen overnight. It didn't. And a lot of times, you have people look at you and be envious and jealous, not realizing what you had to go through to get to where you are today. And those people will never be willing to wear your shoes to get there. Never. They would never be willing to take the detours and all the roadblocks throughout your journey. But they're envious of you and they're jealous of you, and they have no idea. They have no idea the struggle, the pain, the tears.
And I'll take it even further. It's not only do you pay a price, like you're saying, you paid a price to get there, but you're still paying a price. It's not a one and done deal. It's a evolution. It's a yes, I'm not where I used to be, right? But I'm not. Yeah, go ahead. That's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely not where I'm used to be. Not mentally, not spiritually, not even physically. I'm not where I used to be. But in all, to God be the glory. I give it all to God. I give it all to God. I couldn't get out the bed without God, so I praise Him. And I give no apologies in doing so. But I'm not where I used to be. I'm not even where I want to be. But God is taking me on a journey where there's no looking back, and there is heartache, there is pain. It's not fun all the time. Um, it's not always, people think when they see you with things, um, or they think you have a lot of money, they think you're blessed. But actually, the blessing is coming out. You're blessed because you made it through. You're blessed because you endured. You're blessed because you stuck it out. That's where the blessing is at. The blessing is there because you trusted God enough to not just go through hell and not stay there, but you went through it. You didn't stay there. You went through it, and you trusted Him enough to bring you through it. Because if He bring you to it, He'll bring you through it.
There's a jewel in everyone. There's a jewel, just like there's pearls, just like there's diamonds, and everything else. And there's a crushing process, there's a searching out process. So if you're going through, like you're saying, always stay focused on what is the jewel that's coming out of the situation, what is the beauty that's being formed in the situation. So I really like that, and I think that it's important. And have faith in yourself, but also have faith in God, because without Him there is no self. But you definitely can't, like you're saying, put the emphasis outside of you and try to surround yourself with things and people and all of that, because it goes back to what she said earlier. One, accept it. Accept it. Two, acknowledge it. And three, then change, right? And that's the you that has to make that change. So
Yep.
I really want to go ahead and, first of all, we're going to go ahead and just wrap up. But before we do, I feel like I want to really talk about, I don't know if we did, what bougie actually stands for.
We did, but I don't mind repeating it. Bougie is I made it into an acronym. Bougie stands for beautiful, outstanding, unique, great, intelligent, and exceptional. We are an exceptional people. I don't care if you're man or female. You are exceptional. You are beautiful. You are outstanding. You are unique. God made us all uniquely. We're all unique in our own way. So don't think that you have to be like someone else. Don't think you have to look like someone else. You are unique in your own way. And you know who taught me that? My kids. My kids have a uniqueness about themselves that they never got caught up into all the material things of life. So just in throughout all your bouginess, figure out your beauty. Know how you're beautiful. Know how you're outstanding. Know how you're unique. Know how you're great. Know how you're intelligent, and know why you're exceptional, because you are. And to me, that's what bougie means. It doesn't mean that other crap that everybody else talking about.
And we did talk about it, but I wanted to expound on it because she will have a whole line of great things happening just around the bougie bar and the bougie brand. And so when you see bougie, when you see the B, the O, the U, the G, I, E, I'm about to start rapping. Let me stop. See the B, the B, the O, the U, G, I, E, Ms. McHale, come by and see about it. Oh my
You
God.
want me to beatbox?
Like,
Should I beatbox?
look, the young people will be like, I need you to come on up to 2021. That's okay. I'm gonna get a beat next time. If you see her, I'm gonna have my rap down. But I just wanted you to know about the bougie bar, the bougie brand, Ms. McHale Coleman, and just grateful for again, our connection and being able to connect after such a long period of time, and being able to see those kids. And now she has 5. You heard her, 5 grandchildren, y'all, and a dog. Okay.
You guys hear one in the background. She just went. I'm sorry, Lana. She's here. She's in the background. She just I can't shake her.
She probably like, I'm supposed to be on there though, Grandma.
Yeah,
So
that's what I mean about it. No such thing as flawless. There's always something going on.
but this show is all about embracing your flaws, because sometimes what people say are flaws is really just your own unique, as she said, your
Unique.
and yeah, your unique perfection. And that's what makes Jules flawless, right? It's not,
That's right.
it's those little imperfections, right? So my last question before we end the show, well, first of all, let me talk about your favorite scripture, which I think you really summed up in everything that you said, which is Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. Okay, that's her favorite scripture. And when he directs your path, remember her three things, takeaways that she's left with us is: one, to accept as he's directing your path; two is to acknowledge that there's a different way he wants you to go; and then three is to change. Okay. And then finally, my last question for you to end the show out um, is there a such thing as being flawless?
There is. If you, to me, flawless is seeing yourself in the image of God, because God is flawless and He created us in His own image. But there's no such thing as flawless. There's no such thing. We're all flawed in some way, form, or fashion. But when people think of flawless and they think you're flawless and they think you're bougie, they look for the flaws. They think you're flawless, but they look for the flaws. Like they'll be like, her nails wasn't even done, or they look for but you know what? There's no such thing as flawless. We all have flaws in some way, form, or fashion. And I say embrace them. I say, hey, it's part of your uniqueness. Whatever you consider, whatever you think is a flaw, and what you think is a flaw may not be a flaw to someone else. And don't let other people determine your flaws, or don't look for validation as far as people, their determination of your flaws or what they perceive as a flaw. People do that because they don't want to look in the mirror themselves.
So you heard it here first, everyone. Embrace your flaws, which is what this show is all about. I want to say something just to end that she said that I think is key, and then we're going to go ahead and close. Is that she said a lot of times people look for the flaws. People look for the flaws. And when she said that, what I'm reminded of is when Jesus went to the cross and when he rose and he came back, and everyone didn't believe that it was him. And he said, feel my side, feel the wounds, feel the pain, feel where the side, feel it, so that you know that I am real. And when she was saying that about people look for the flaws, I think that's one of the most probably beautiful things we can end the show on, is that people want to know that you're real, and people want to feel your pain, and people want to be able to see your wounds. So don't be ashamed of your flaws, but go ahead and just open up. And even as Ms. McHale did tonight, let people see those scars so that they too can be transformed. I want to say thank you, Ms. McHale Coleman, and that's it for today's show. So again, thank you to our special guest, Ms. McHale Coleman of Bougie Bar. We love to hear from you. Email or message us if you'd like more information about our guests, have additional questions, or would like to see your favorite flawless woman featured on the show. Tune in again next week for more candid conversations on what it means to be flawless in an imperfect world. I'll sit down with guests from around the world, hear life lessons, stories of triumph, joy, and pain. And finally, don't forget to live your best life and be flawless. You're worth it.